Hello and welcome to 60 minutes of mostly unscripted .NET entertainment, and that's certainly been true so far today. Our mission is to empower you, the wonderful .NET community, to achieve more. I'm your host, Cam Soper, with co-hosts Maira Wenzel and David Pine.
Hi, friends.
We'd like to welcome today's guest, Bertrand Le Roy. Bertrand, tell us a bit about yourself, please.
Hi. Well, I'm an old guy who's working for Microsoft and been programming for decades. And I do a lot of open source software. Oh, and also awesome. I created this show.
You know what's ironic about that statement is do you remember me, Bertrand, by chance?
Yes. Yeah,
so this is a flashback. Yeah. This was like more than 6 years ago. I did a magic mirror in UWP, and you're with Rich, and I was like, wait, Bertrand's gonna come on? We're co-hosting, and like we're flipping roles. It's crazy. It's crazy. How time flies.
Yeah. I thought it was really, really fun that we would do that. Yeah.
I thought you were going to show us the beard, David.
I don't think it's really necessary. It should. I looked a little bit different back then.
Look what 16 quite a bit different.
Yeah.
What's with the
I don't know. Okay, I wasn't wearing. That's why I wear hats. All right, give me a break. God. You can't do anything on Mondays.
I must say that this is the best way to come back from vacation.
So Bertrand, you're coming here back to the show that you co-founded to talk about Lunr Core.
Yes,
something about search capabilities in .NET.
Yeah. So, as I said, I do a lot of open source, and I've made a number of projects over the years, and this one, for some reason, is the most successful I've made. It has hundreds of stars on GitHub, and people seem to like it. It started actually because, I saw a tweet one day. It was from, let me see, Alexander Mutel, who said, the .NET library ecosystem is sometimes so unequipped. Every 5 years, I'm looking for a .NET library that could build a search index, inverted index with stems, fuzzy search, etc., that I could plug into a JavaScript front-end library like Lunr.js, and it's still the same no libs land. And that was in 2020. And a couple of weeks later, I answered his tweet, and my tweet was, there, I fixed it.
So is it a port from Lunr.js?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Awesome.
Yeah. Cool. I was a user of Lunr, actually.
Okay.
And Lunr has a great punchline. It's Lunr is like Solar, but smaller and less bright.
Nice.
Solar being a very reputable searching solution, but that is huge and scary. So yeah, I thought, yeah, it's true. At the time, .NET had some indexing and searching libraries, but not a lot. I do agree with the sentiment that Alexander expressed. And I think that all applications should have search.
Yeah, definitely.
I can't think of an application that wouldn't benefit from having search. And I work in search. My day job is to work for Azure Cognitive Search.
Yeah.
So I do that all day. So I know how it works.
Yeah.
So yeah, and there was this great library in the JavaScript world that was there, and I thought, yeah, wouldn't be too hard to take it, change it to .NET. Make it implement some .NET idioms instead of the JavaScript idioms, make it full async and stuff like that. And yeah.
Cool. So you're going to have to show us this because I'm
sure.
But before we jump into that, I'm curious, like, what type of search are we talking about? Like, you mentioned that every app could use search. What kind of search?
Well, it depends on the app, obviously.
Yeah.
But okay, so apps have data, right?
Sure.
They have some form of data that they present to you and so on. So that data has to be navigated. And sometimes it's a list, sometimes it's, well, there are different, data presentations.
Yes.
But even the start menu in Windows, it's data that's presented. And what do you do when you want to launch an application? Do you navigate all the list of applications, or do you just type its name? Well, that's search. So yeah, it's the fastest way to find the data that you're looking for, because it's an almost direct translation from your thoughts to what you're looking for. You just express it, the machine understands what you're saying, and gives you results. So there are several aspects to search. There is indexing, so taking the data and putting it into a reverse index. A reverse index is the same thing that you have in a book. Technical books have that a lot, where you have a list of words, important words, at the end of the book, and it gives you the pages where that word is relevant, right? So an inverted index is the same thing, and the way you build it is that you scan the documents, you remove the noise, so the words that are not interesting, the etc., and you keep the actual words, and you build a list of all the places where this word appears. And then when you have that inverted index, search is taking the user's query, parsing that same thing, removing the noise, trying to interpret what it means, adding weights, all that stuff, and then it looks in the inverted index and tries to fit your query to what's in the index, and then it gives you results, which are the places where what you asked for appears. So yeah, it's pretty straightforward, but there are a lot of technicalities to making this work well, and there are different kinds of search engines that fulfill different roles. If you take Azure Cognitive Search, for example, my day job, one thing we do when we index, for example, is that we can apply we can apply AI techniques to enrich the document further and better understand the document than just separating it into tokens.
Right. Okay.
So there are a lot of complications like that. Scalability is huge. I mean, you won't scale something like Lunr Core the same way you scale cognitive search. Cognitive search is made to scale to millions, billions of documents. And it's like that. They don't care. And they haven't been fed. So Lunr Core itself is obviously targeted at small applications, small payloads. It's really the fastest way to add search to a small application. If you have something huge and super serious, don't use it. Use something like Elasticsearch or Azure Cognitive Search or whatever.
So this comes at no cost because it's a NuGet package you can presumably consume in your stuff. But what are like the pros and cons in terms of like do you have to index everything up front? Like, how does that work? Or can you do it on the fly? Like, what's that model look like?
Yeah, so you have a choice actually, and what I do in some of the applications where I implemented it is that it's so fast on small payloads that you can actually afford to reindex when you launch the application. In some cases, it can take like a few milliseconds if your payload is small enough. But you can also persist the index, right?
Okay.
So you would do what you do in any other search solution. You have one command on your application, or you tool it. You create a tool that does it, and it just generates the index, and it just persists it to disk. And then you have to maintain that index, right? When you change the data, so there are complications there. The performance of adding to an index are somewhat tricky.
Sure.
But yeah, if you have a small set of data and you just want to do it every time, that works. And this way your index is always up to date. It has an interesting feature, which is that the format that the index is persisted in is exactly the same as the JavaScript library that I adapted. So it's 100% compatible. That means that you can prepare your index on the server. Actually, if I have time to do that in the demo, I'll do it. And you can send that index to the client side, which I don't necessarily recommend if it's big, but if it's small enough, that can be pretty cool, because you can have the index live on the front end, and then you can have search functions that work entirely autonomously on the front end without talking to the server. So you can do, autocomplete, stuff like that. You can implement a lot of interesting features. And it's all compatible between the two. So that opens a lot of possibilities. Right. With a .NET backend and a JavaScript frontend.
Yeah, that's kind of the scenario we have, like in one of the pages on the .NET website. We implemented with a JavaScript library, but I'm wondering now if we could use Lunr Core for that as well. Like we do the filtering of the contributors page on our thanks page. It's like all on the front end, and
yeah, depends on the size of it. Getting anything on the front end, it's always you always have to. Well, you can cache things, but yeah. Well, you don't want to load megabytes of data.
Well, the thing is, the client side. Well, it's correct me if I'm wrong, Maira, but isn't it an MVC app or Razor Pages?
It's Razor, yeah.
So it's server side, anyways. So it's just pulling up a JSON document, essentially ripping it apart, doing that. So the client, presumably in that situation, would pass some sort of filtration back to the server. The server just has the stuff in memory at that point. It's probably already cached, rips through it, and then responds back. So is that a scenario, Bertrand, that would apply? Okay. Index.
Did I hear you mention a demo, Bertrand?
Yeah.
Can we see it?
Let's do it.
Yeah. Hold on. I'm also trying to see if I had slides, but
sure.
I think
slides are boring.
Slides are boring, but here is one I want to show. How do I?
You hit the present button.
That's easy enough.
While you're doing that, we do have a question I'm going to ask real quick here from one of our viewers on YouTube. Can we compare this kind of search to full text search in DB servers? So like, when is it a better fit than full text index in database?
Full text if you have full text capabilities in your database, that's great. And use it. It's simple. I would say that is fine.
Okay. So what's the comparison then? Like that makes a couple of assumptions though, right? Like this assumes that you have a database server and that's your store for all your data. I mean, there's other forms of data that your library could presumably ingest, right?
Yeah, that's a good it's a good remark. Yes, your data may not necessarily be logically organized the way it's physically organized in the database, and that's especially true of relational databases. If you have something like a document database, chances are your domain looks a lot like your database to a degree. But yeah, your search index, because it's a very human feature that interprets human words and tries to map it into your data. The logical representation of your data it's the most relevant to build your search index usually. But yeah, there are databases such as SQL Server that have good search features, full text search features. They are not necessarily super easy to set up in my experience, but that works. Hold on. So isn't that called Bing? Yeah, and Bing also has AI, which is great. If your app is on the web, and there are actually a lot. Wait, why do I see two pictures, two screens? I did it wrong. Sorry. If there are a lot of websites that do that, actually, the search that they give you is not really internal search. It's just filtering the results from Bing, and Bing has ways to enable itself into websites. But it's not really your search if you do that. It's not on your own terms. It's more you're embedding Bing into your application. You would use something like Lunr if you want to control all the aspects of your search, and you don't necessarily want to depend on an external service. So can you think I can figure out how to share my screen? I don't know if I can do that.
So when you present, there's a flyout and there's different things that you can share.
But it says entire screen, and it only shows me the composite of my two screens. It doesn't let me share just one screen, which is weird. So I'm just going to share windows, and that will be fine, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
So this will be my one slide.
Okay.
And this is from you guys.
This is from us.
Yeah, it's from one of your samples.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah, this is from the ASP.NET Core
Yes.
Tutorials.
Yes.
Interesting. So this is not search movies.
No.
Where the title contains the search string.
Yeah, don't do that. This is not what we mean when this is not what we mean when we say search. This is not what we mean when we say use the search feature in the database. No, don't do that. So what's wrong with that? Well, it doesn't interpret it just looks for substrings basically.
Right.
It doesn't understand your query. It can't do fuzzy search or anything like that. And it performs like, can I swear on this show?
I mean,
well, question mark pound our base $% Yeah, don't do that. Okay. So I will stop sharing and I will share the actual application, I guess.
You were a host before, like
right.
you know the rules.
on channel 9, did you guys get to
swear?
But
well, rules change.
We should take a poll. I wish we had that capability.
Yeah. Okay, so let me show some code because people don't care about.
But we still don't have your Windows.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Okay.
I know how to do it now. It's coming. I did share it. It's just.
Oh yeah. David. Never mind. I'll do it.
No.
Sorry. I was pressing on buttons elsewhere. That's not the one.
That's not the one.
So yeah, I've presented that show, but the tools were crappier. This. I don't know. We were in a studio most of the time with the guest, and we were just turning the screen to the camera. No.
Wait a second. So you're saying this is like we've downgraded ourselves compared to like the studio environment? If you remember the clip I just showed at the beginning of the show, there was like a physical whiteboard.
Yes.
Like that was not streaming. This is streaming. This is better. You are just not. This is user error. You're not clicking the right stuff.
I think yes.
Maira, Cam, and I all clicked on this. By the way, we all. So
I'm not gonna touch any buttons anymore. I'll just watch.
Sorry.
So there was this moment before the stream today where David and I were arguing over which one of us were going to run the screens and sharing and everything, and which one of us would do the intro and outro script at the beginning and end of the episode. And it just appears like that conversation just did not matter, David.
No, I was looking at something else. I know. I'm sorry. Oh,
it's like my kids in the elevator. It's always it used to always be a contest between who would push the buttons.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like just one button
for doing the buttons for us.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. We need that.
Okay, so here is some code.
Yay!
Finally, woohoo!
Okay, so this guy is just a console app, right? It's doing, okay, I'm using Lunr. Let's create an index. Let's build an index. Mm-hmm. So it gives you a builder. On that builder, you add what you want to index. So you say, okay, this is going to be very simple. I'm going to have an ID field, which is mandatory. You have to have that. And I have a text, the text of the documents. Mm-hmm. This is a little technicality. It's just saying when I search something, I want to be able to know where the matches were found. So maybe we could add a helper to make that more expressive. Sorry, can't speak English apparently. Okay, so then go ahead. I thought I heard something. I'm sorry.
Oh no.
So what I'm going to index is those documents which are part of a kind of a standard library of documents that people are using to test things like compression and stuff like that. So they are pretty sizable documents. They're books, basically. There is the Bible in there. There is Alice in Wonderland, and a few others, some research papers, and so on. Mm-hmm. So it enumerates those documents and reads them, and then it just adds them to the index. And this is
like the whole text.
Yes, and that's it. That this is how you index a document. So technically, it's just those 3 lines of text that are doing the work. You create the index, and you just add documents. I don't think it can get simpler than that.
Yeah.
So I have a question. So what constitutes a document, right? So like I was thinking earlier about how someone might implement quick search functionality, like Visual Studio has, where you can just search for a command.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, what's a document in this context?
Each command is a document. It's whatever you want. It's your unit of search results.
Gotcha.
And then we do have a couple other questions real quick, Bertrand. Let's just jump these on here. So we've got, does this work with SQL Server? I'm assuming so, if you just pull in all the raw text and put it in there, but maybe...
Lunr doesn't care about your data source.
Right, okay. But maybe they mean like, as your data updates, would you have to re-ingest it every time? And how?
Oh yeah, you're responsible for that. Lunr is not going to help you with that. Yeah.
Perfect. And then
so you can subscribe to change notifications and update your index based on that.
Perfect. And then Justin on Twitch is saying the README says that it's good for small applications. What's the definition of small? Right? Are they talking 100?
That is a great
100,000.
It's a great question. It depends on your number of records and on the size of those records. I can't give you a specific answer to that. Start using it and stop using it when it breaks.
Love it. #, it depends.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So we've ingested it. We've read everything. We have our builder. We're adding the fields. We're saying here's our metadata allow list, and we pull it in. Now what?
Now you can write it to disk. You don't have to do that, but yeah, you can write it to disk. So here I'm writing it to disk because I have a second part of the demo that I might have time to do, where I'm using that index from the front end. But now we have an index in memory, so we can query it. So we are gonna read the query from the user, and we are just going to search. And this is it. This is search. We're just doing search of that query, and we are going to asynchronously enumerate those results.
Love that. Love that.
And then there is some, link junk to massage the data to highlight the hits. So
okay.
The way I'm displaying the results here is that I'm taking the text around the matches and emphasizing with stars the match itself. So let's run that.
Oh, that's cute.
Oh, the 9cat progress bar. That is a plugin that everybody should have.
My opinion. I would want a dog, but I mean, sure.
Build it.
Right.
Right.
I need to share with a friend.
Okay, so you can see it indexing, and on my laptop it took a few seconds to index the Bible, which is probably not too bad.
So where's the index persisted? Is it just strictly in memory, or is there a file format that it?
He did save it to Jason up there, but you don't need to.
I missed that part.
Yeah, you weren't paying attention. I said that.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, so give me a query.
Okay. Are we looking for like a famous phrase from the Bible or something? Because I don't know anything.
Yeah, if you want. Yeah.
Maybe
or word like the name of a king, maybe.
Oh, let's do this. Let's have our audience, live viewers, put in a query. Send us a message. We want to see, and we'll use one of your queries here. This will be fun. So send us a query. We've got the Bible. We've got some raw papers, some news, a couple of books. Well, I don't know what the book titles are. But
there is Alice. There is the Bible. And there are a few other books that are book 1 and book 2. I don't know what those are.
You don't even know what they are? That's kind of amazing.
Yeah, I just found a data set on the web and just used that.
So is real quick as a specifier,
let's look for Alice, for example.
Okay.
So here I search for Alice. So I got matches, with Alice. But let's do something a little more like
here. Someone said Mad Hatter.
Yeah, let's look for Mad Hatter. But here you see I typed ALI star and it found alike, right? Alive. Okay. And all kinds of other words, and not just in Alice.
Let's make that a little bit bigger. Maybe just use VS Code or Visual Studio. No, I'm joking.
Mad Hatter.
Mad Hatter. Yep.
And here, when you say Mad Hatter, by default, it finds Mad or Hatter.
Got it.
Now, if you want both, you do like in Google.
Interesting.
And here, it found documents that had both, but not necessarily at the same place. I don't remember what the command is for near to, but you can say Mad near to Hatter, and you can. Actually, it's probably a good time to show another thing, which is what the
we had one.
Hold on. We'll get back there. I'm okay. Just sharing PowerPoint again for just 1 second. Share this one.
All right, we're back in your PowerPoint. PowerPoint it is.
So you can do fuzzy search, as I showed. You can do field querying, so limiting the search to specific fields in your index. You can do. I also showed that you can have like plus foo minus bar. So if it has foo but not bar, you can boost terms. You can also do proximity and stuff like that.
Got it. Interesting. That's really cool.
So you want back to the
yeah. We had Gerald from YouTube is saying, how old was King Solomon? As a query.
It's not AI, so that probably won't give you very good results.
But let's look at the results. I'm curious to see what it would do, right?
Alors, how old was King Solomon? It found all those words, right? So yeah, it's a search index. It's not AI search. Use Azure Cognitive Search for that.
Got it.
So maybe you would have to search like Solomon and then see if you find
Or
paragraphs that talk about his age.
Yes.
Okay.
Or you can use Bing. Yeah, so that's actually pretty much the demo. I can show the front end one.
Yeah, I'm curious what that looks like.
So it's
we do have a question though before we jump in. So like, if you're using SQL Server, would you use Lunr or the full text search from SQL?
Yeah, so that's this kind of the same question as before. You can absolutely use SQL's full text search, and that will give you a lot of nice things, such as it will take care of all the change monitoring and stuff like that. So that's probably that should probably be your default, because it's very integrated. It works well. It's been working for like 20-25 years, something like that. 20 years probably, maybe 25 actually. Yeah, 25. Full text search in SQL Server is 25 years old. It's very mature. It can vote and drink. I would say, if you want absolute control over what you index, and maybe the logical view of your data is very different from the physical organization of your data in the SQL database, you might want to use Lunr, but it's really if you want complete control and you want to understand exactly what's happening.
And what are some of the applications that you see, like the scenarios that you see Lunr Core being used the most, like in terms of types of applications or the scenarios that they're using their search for? Is it more like filtering of results, or like?
That is a great question that I would very much like to have an answer to. I don't know. I don't know because it's open source. People don't tell me.
Yeah.
So they start on GitHub, so I'm assuming they use it. I think it's used by Unity in some capacity in their internal tools or something like that, because I've corresponded with them. I've had some exchanges with them. They've been asking for features and they've been contributing to the library as well. But I don't know.
Yeah, no, sometimes based on the feedback or the issues that people open, sometimes you might have an idea. So I was just curious about that. So if you're a user, let Bertrand know how you're using it.
Actually, if you use open source in any capacity, talk to your maintainers and tell them thanks. They always appreciate it. So yeah,
they do. It's very true. Very true.
And this is why we do open source, right? We like to share. We like the community, and this is what the community is. Talk to each other, right? And we would like to see our work being used in applications. So yeah, that's a general advice. Absolutely do that. So this is a very, very small front-end application that I wrote in a few minutes. It's just vanilla JS thrown in a web page. And so the Cam, do you remember that I persisted the index?
Yes, yeah. I do. You in JSON, no less.
That's the teacher's lab.
Yeah. So here it is. Do you want to see it, by the way?
Yeah. What's it look like?
It looks terrible.
It's Jason, of course. It looks terrible.
It's Jason, yes.
It's better than YAML, though. Come on.
Well, so there is a contribution that is in merge hell that persists the index not as JSON but as something more efficient and does memory mapping and super smart stuff like that to make it efficient. But this is basically just saying, okay, here is a term, here is where it is. It's just that dumb. It's just a list of positions for stuff. Yeah, so the application here is, let me show you the HTML.
Wait, time out. I'm gonna stop you right there. This is we're talking .NET, but is this Lunr JS I'm seeing being brought in besides the cat running across your desk again? So, So this isn't. Did I miss something, or like why is it not the .NET version now? Can't we do a web app?
No, so you weren't paying attention earlier.
We're all failing. It's Monday.
Yeah.
I said that. Yeah, so the format in which the index is persisted is the same that the original Lunr.js library uses.
So you can just use
okay.
And that goes both ways. If you create an index in Lunr.js, you can use it in Lunr Core.
Got it. Okay.
So for the front end, it's pretty convenient. So this index is something like 16 megabytes. So you shouldn't really download it from the front end. But
right. Yeah.
Still doing it here. Yeah. So it has a search field. It has a search button. And it has a div for results, and it includes my little index.js file. And what this is doing is that it's loading the index, and then it's looking for clicks on the search button. It's taking the value of the search field, and it's just doing search and presenting the results. Same thing that our little console application was doing, but this time in JavaScript. So it's just going to do the same thing. So if I run that in, I don't know, Firefox? No, okay. Edge? Okay, fine, do it in Edge. And I guess I will have to share that window now.
We do have a question. Does the .NET version work in WebAssembly?
I don't see why not. I'm not.
The cat loves that path. I feel like this is like the third time. It's like the same path.
Yeah. They might be trying to tell me something.
Right.
I lost my train of thoughts. What was the question again?
Does it work in WebAssembly?
Yes. Yeah, I don't see why not. I have to admit I have never used Blazor, so I don't know. Try it. Let me know.
Let me help you with that. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
it should work.
I would assume so.
Yeah.
I can't. It's just plain. It's plain .NET. It has no dependencies. So yeah.
Yes, it works.
Let's look for the Mad Hatter again. Oh, Mad and Hatter. And there you go. It's in Alice. I didn't do the highlighting stuff here, but you can. It's the same thing. So yeah, that's it. That's all I had. End of the show.
Awesome.
I'm already thinking. So first of all, I didn't write that sample that you pointed out earlier on the ASP.NET Core docs. I am familiar with it because I've had to update it a couple of times. I'm kind of thinking I want to go in and update it now to use Lunr.
Yes, do it. Do it. I'll help you. Do it.
You should totally do it.
We should do it live.
Yeah.
Let's do it right now. Rip it open.
That's another thing that was going to be my demo. But you know why I didn't do it? Yes. You know why I didn't do it?
Why didn't you?
Okay. I had an answer to that because you were late.
No, you're not going to like this.
Okay, well,
it's going to be a little bit of constructive criticism. The samples for .NET tend to be step-by-step tutorials, which is fantastic. But if I want a sample to punch the tires, right? I can't. I couldn't find it. I couldn't find a download for this sample.
That's a good point. So I know that for a lot of the documentation that I write, I really go out of my way to make the samples like the full sample that's in the documentation available. But that one, like you said, that one is kind of hard to find. Maybe we can do something about that, David.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, there is a GitHub repository, but for some reason it's not the full application. So yeah, that was weird. So I thought, yeah, on the other hand, starting from scratch is actually more impressive and less confusing because people don't have to know anything about the application that I'm modifying. So I thought that was probably for the best. But yeah.
We used to have like a site that we could publish like full samples. I don't know if that still exists. Like it's been a while. I haven't been on the team as well.
I mean, there's still the sample browser. So
that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
And I just want to throw this out there. Bertrand, we are one Microsoft, so you're free to blow up our DMs and let us know about these sorts of things. We're happy to take things on and try to improve them. So real quick.
Yeah, I didn't want to disturb you on a Sunday.
Oh, that's my favorite time to get disturbed. Come on now. We do have a question here again from YouTube. They're asking, can we insert new document into existing index or update an existing document within an existing index?
Yes.
So that's where it gets more complex. So you had talked about that briefly, kind of touched on it. Okay.
Yeah. So one of the difficulties with that is if you're just doing the persistence the dumb way, like I did, where you just dump your index to disk, that won't be great because as your index grows, you're rewriting that very long file all the time. So you don't want to do that, right? So you have to kind of persist it as a background task. And there are a few things you can do about that, but this is why there is that contribution that I was talking about, where you can actually memory map the file, and then it's not JSON anymore, and it's not compatible with Lunr.js, obviously, but there are ways to optimize that. I didn't write that part. That was a contribution that I didn't write, so I don't know the details very, very well. But I know that is possible. And that's probably what you would do if you have an index that changes a lot.
Interesting. So there's like kind of two modalities. Like you mentioned that you can persist it, but typically it's in memory, and that's how you consume it anyways, is once it's in memory. So once you have the index JSON from the .NET side, you could load it into memory as well. Like, for example, that 16 megabyte index JSON, how long does it take to load that?
In the browser?
Not in the browser, like .NET side. Say you reload it, and since you've already ran that, like if you were to delete the stuff that would index it again, and just say new index, presumably load it from the index JSON, how long would it take to load up?
I didn't time it, but this is using system text JSON, so it's as fast as JSON parsing works. Yeah. Cool. It's quite fast, but it's JSON, so
yeah.
And the in-memory thing is also a concern that people should keep in mind. Same reason why not all applications have an in-memory database. Not all applications should have an in-memory index.
Right. Cool.
And in
other
terms
questions?
of like, is there any future or anything that you're looking to do with the project, or is it pretty much stable at this point?
So the project is very stable at this point, but there are some contributions that I want and that I haven't had time to do myself. And they're pretty easy contributions. So if people are interested in contributing, that's probably a low-hanging fruit. It's the multi-language support. Of course, there is a lot of search that has to do with language, like the stop words, for example, are language specific. The way you stem the terms, I didn't talk about that, but stemming is important in search. Stemming is when you take multiple terms that are variations of the same concept, stem. Well, not, yeah, like live, living, lives, all those should be considered the same as far as the index goes. So stemming is language dependent as well. So there are all those multi-language aspects to indexing and searching that we need to implement. And Lunr.js has those implemented for a lot of languages, I believe. So you can actually take the code that exists for Lunr.js and adapt it for Lunr Core, and then you would get multi-language support. So yeah, that would be a good contribution to make.
Yeah, I think there was someone asking about, I think there's an existing pull request still in progress for that feature, right?
Yeah, but it's dead. It's been there for a while and it's not advancing, so somebody should take that over.
Yeah, it looks like it was initially proposed December 31st, 2020. So someone's New Year's resolution was to never touch it.
Yeah, apparently.
All right. Well, do we want to wrap it up, guys?
Yeah, we can do it. Unless, is there anything else, Bertrand, you want to share with anyone?
You can share my GitHub. I have other projects there that also take contributions.
Sure.
I have a library that does Fluent style IO, like file access and stuff like that. It's called what is it called nowadays?
Fluent Path?
Yes, Fluent Path. I have a library that enables you to talk to Minecraft in C#.
Oh.
And I do a lot of open source hardware as well, and retro hardware and stuff like that. So if you want to browse my GitHub and see stuff that you would like to contribute to, that's great as well. I have a YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/@Bertrand Le Roy. And I have a blog, weblogs.asp.net/BLeroy. It's kind of dead these days, but I have ideas of blog posts.
Yeah, we still support that site.
All right. Well, with that, then I want to thank you for coming on, Bertrand, and sharing your project with us. And I want to thank everyone out there. Oh, thank you again. You're very welcome. I'd like to thank all of our viewers out there in YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch for watching on .NET Live. Do check out our other great .NET Live TV streams and videos at .net/live. Please join us again next week when we'll be welcoming Matthew Groves, who is going to talk about implementing conduit backends with ASP.NET Core. Have a good week, everybody, and see you then.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.